What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video on Forever Flame Racing Reviews. Today, as you saw by the title, we're going to be talking about what I think the next move in the IndyCar silly season is, and then we're going to talk further into that and what I think that will do to the whole silly season. So this is kind of like a driver lineup prediction for the 2026 IndyCar grid, you could say, because I'm going to tell you at the end kind of what I think each team is going to be looking like as we head into St. Pete in 2026. But before we get into that, I got to tell you about today's sponsor for the video. Yes, that's right, a sponsor, Keepsakers, who makes these lovely IndyCar, as you saw right there as I stood up to show you, t-shirts. Keepsakers makes the most unique and designable IndyCar t-shirts out there. Their shirts are one of a kind. They're collectible items. You got to get them while you can. They look sharp on camera, and they feel really good. Like, for those of you that don't like a collared shirt or like a nice shirt, it doesn't feel like a collared shirt or anything like that. It just feels like a nice, comfortable shirt. I could go out and play a sport in this. I wouldn't want to play like tackle football or anything because I wouldn't want to ruin it, but you could definitely go out and play a nice sport in it. Definitely take it golfing. This would be my golfing shirt, when the weather gets nice again, as it's too cold for me to go golfing at this point in the year. So, yeah, definitely check out Keepsakers. You can get their shirts at any IndyCar race weekend or from their shop down below. And that link to the shop down below is going to be down below in the description of the video. Sorry, I stumbled on my words there. So definitely check out Keepsakers. They make the best IndyCar t-shirts. With that being said, let's dive now into today's video. So I'm going to just go ahead and tell you the teams that we do know their lineups. Penske Racing, Joseph Newgarden, Scott McLaughlin, David Malukas, easy. Chip Ganassi Racing, Kiffin Simpson, Scott Dixon, Alex Palou, easy. Andretti, Will Power, Kyle Kirkwood, Marcus Ericsson, easy. McLaren, Pato O'Ward, Nolan Siegel, Christian Lundgaard, easy, we already know that. Rahal, we'll come back to. Voigt, we'll come back to. Meyer Shank, Felix Rosenqvist, and Marcus Armstrong. Although we have heard rumors about a third car, that is true. We've heard rumors of a third car for 2027, but I've heard stuff that they could be buying a Rahal charter and have a third car as early as this year. We'll have to come back to that, but as of right now, they're a two-car team, Rosenqvist and Armstrong. Lock that in. At Carpenter Racing, Alexander Rossi, Christian Rasmussen, easy, lock it in. And then Dale Coyne Racing, we do know that they have incoming rookie Dennis Hauger. We don't know who his teammate's going to be. Hugo Hollinger will come back to, and Prema we will come back to. So I'm going to start by saying we're going to start the Mick Schumacher test. So obviously about a week ago or so now, Ray Hall Edmund Lanigan Racing announced Mick Schumacher to do a test with them at the IMS road course. So, if you don't know, Rahal is a three-car full-time team. They have Graham Rahal in the 15, and they have Louis Foster in the 45, and this year they had Devlin DeFrancesco in the 30. Now, obviously, Devlin didn't do so great, and if this test is to go well, we suspect Mick Schumacher will be driving the number 30 car next year. Now, do I think he'll do the ovals? I think there's a good chance that he doesn't do the ovals. And who do you go get if he can't do the ovals? Well, this will lead to my next point. Hugo Hollinger is very likely to announce Rinus VeeKay and Stingray Robb as his driver lineup, leaving Connor Daly on the sidelines. Now, I think you'd be foolish if you're Rahal to not go with a Schumacher on the road and street circuits and a Daly on the ovals. I think that right there makes a ton of sense. But I think the days of a driver only doing the road and street circuits is behind us. So I think the test, if it goes well, Mick Schumacher will be confirmed for all 17 races next year, and I would be all for that. I think that would be absolutely sick. So, I think Dev is out. I think they wouldn't be doing this test if Devin wasn't out. So I'm just going to go ahead, and I'm going to be hopeful, because I think Mick Schumacher would be a huge name for the sport, former F1 driver, and lock in that Devlin DeFrancesco will not be returning, and Mick Schumacher will be his replacement. And I'm willing to say Rahal Edmund Lanigan Racing will be Graham Rahal, Mick Schumacher, and Louis Foster. That's what I think. And obviously, as I already said, I think Hugo Hollinger Racing will be Rinus VeeKay and Stingray Robb. Now, I did mention a Meyer Shank third car potentially. Now, what if this Mick Schumacher test doesn't go well, and I'm already fairly confident Devlin won't be back? Well, if this Mick Schumacher test completely fails, and I think Devlin's already out the door, then what do? Do you go get someone else? This is where I think it gets very interesting. I think no, they wouldn't go and get somewhere else. And I think this is when that car and that charter becomes up for sale. And who do I think would buy it? Do I think Penske would buy it? Well, no, because they run 3 cars. Same goes for Ganassi, Andretti, and McLaren. They would have no business in buying it. I think the best 2-car team to buy it would be Meyer-Shank. I don't think AJ Foyt would buy it. They can barely run 2 cars by themselves, so a 3rd car just makes no sense for them. Same goes Fred Carpenter Racing and, of course, Prema. So the only team that would be even in contention for buying this would be Meyer-Shank. Could you see maybe Able Motorsports buying it or Dry Rumble buying it? Of course. Do I think that's going to happen? Honestly, no. I think Meyer-Shank, because they're a Honda, and both those teams, Able and Dry Rumble, are Chevys, I don't think it makes any sense for them to buy it. I think that the only reasonable thing this would make is Meyer-Shank. And Meyer-Shank would buy that, and I have no idea who they would put in the car, to be quite frank with you. And that's such a wild scenario. We're not even going to talk about who the driver of that could be. But Meyer-Shank is very interested in having a 3rd car, and that's probably going to happen in the near 2027, 2028 realm. If this happens, if we get it in St. Pete and Rahaal's 2 cars and Meyer-Shank is 3, wow, that is crazy. So for me, Rahal is either going to be a 2-car operation of Graham Rahal and Louis Foster, or a 3-car operation of Rahal, Schumacher, and Foster. I don't think there's any scenario where we see Devlin in that Rahal car next year. So that covers Penske, Ganassi, Andretti, McLaren, Rahal. We covered Meyer-Shank. We do know Felix Rosenqvist in the 60, Marcus Armstrong in the 66, with a potential 3rd car. Now, the number on that car I wouldn't know. I'd suspect Elio Castroneves will keep running the 06 at the Indy 500. So could you see like a... I hope they keep like 6 in the theme. So could you see like a 16? Yeah, I don't know what it would be, like a 61. I don't really know what it would be, or who cares what the number would be. It'd just be cool if we got a 3rd car at Meyer-Shank. At Carpenter, obviously, we know they're staying, Alexander Rossi and Christian Rasmussen. So this is where it gets interesting. So I kind of thought I would cover the Rahal and Meyer-Shank shenanigans there. This is where it gets very, very, very interesting when you have AJ Foyt, Dale Coyne, and Prema. I did cover Humco's Hollander, as I said. I'm very confident Rinus VeeKay does replace Connor Daly at Humco's, and I'll just give my thoughts on that real quick. The only reason I think he's leaving Coyne is for the salary. They couldn't really pay him, and Rinus wants to get paid, which I respect. At the end of the day, everyone's got to have a paycheck coming in their pocket. Everyone's got to provide food for the table, and I just don't think, I just simply don't think Dale Coyne could give him the contract. And I think from a championship standpoint, it's a cross move. It's probably the worst Chevy team leaving the worst Honda team. But I think at the Indy 500, you're taking a step up. I think he can win the race in that car. But you're also leaving Michael Cannon, and Michael Cannon could make Dale Coyne a contender again. Interesting move, but I think it's all to do with that salary. That's the only reason I see Rinus doing this, and that leaves Connor Daly on the sidelines. Do I think Connor Daly could go to an AJ Foyt? Well, originally I thought yes, but there's 2 guys going to either AJ Foyt, and that's Colin Collette or that's Jacob Abel. Jacob Abel would go there if Colin Collette can't provide money, because AJ Foyt can only fund 1 full car, and that is the 14, and they're giving that to Santino Ferrucci. So then it comes down to the 4 car. We believe the number is staying the 4, but the number doesn't really matter here. So the 4 car would go to Jacob Abel if Colin Collette cannot provide money. From what I understand, Colin Collette is who AJ Foyt would like to sign. Runner-up in Indy next this year, and Colin Collette is, quite frankly, a very good driver. But I think Colin Collette could cover maybe 50%, and I think AJ Foyt could live with that. If Colin Collette can just cover about 50% of that ride, I think the ride is his. But obviously you have a guy in Jacob Abel sitting there who can cover the whole ride, and that would be very, very hard to pass up. So for me, it's a 50-50 chance between Colin Collette and Jacob Abel for the AJ Foyt ride. I would like to see it go to Colin Collette, give someone else a chance. We already saw Jacob Abel get his chance, and he wasn't that great. But also second chance for Jacob Abel, I wouldn't be 100% mad against. I'd rather see it go to Colin Collette. If I had to pick, it's probably going to be Jacob Abel, but don't count Colin Collette out. I'm rooting for Colin Collette to get the seat, but it's probably going to be Jacob Abel. Now, let's head to the final 2 teams we have to cover, and that's Dale Coyne and Prema, and we'll cover the simple one first. Dale Coyne is going to be Romain Grosjean. I'm almost 100% positive in that. You're going to put Grosjean alongside Dennis Hauger, and it makes a lot of sense. You know, he did 2 years with Andretti in 2022 and 2023. He never won a race, but he got some pole positions for them. It makes sense. He's going to be able to teach Dennis Hauger the Andretti way, how to get around, and it's all the all Andretti reject team down at Dale Coyne this year. Obviously, with the Andretti partnership this year, I think it makes even more sense to bring Grosjean in. So Grosjean to Coyne, it just works. If I'm being honest, it just works. And then that should be the number 19. And now let's cover Prema. So obviously we know Prema is struggling for money, but as of right now, it is business as normal in the Prema camp. As far as we know, if they return, it's going to be Robert Schwartzman and Kyle Milot. But if they get bought out by, it won't probably be Jai Reinbold. But if they, I don't really know. But no one really knows what's going on with Prema, and that's what I have to say. There's no reports on you look up Prema IndyCar, there's no reports. So nobody knows what's happening at Prema. So as of right now, we can say it's going to be Robert Schwartzman and Kyle Milot. But that could be an absolute shenanigan show. The team gets bought out, 2 new drivers. That team could get haywire really fast. So I know I just spitballed a bunch of information at you for like the last 10 minutes. But I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope I gave you guys a more clear idea on what's happening in the IndyCar silly season. The next move, I suspect, is VK to Humkos, and then it'll probably stay quiet for a little bit, and then we'll probably have a Schumacher news, if Schumacher's going, or if the Red Hall car is getting for sale, and then Grosjean will get announced in Dale Coyne in late October, I suspect, and then the Foyt seat should get announced, probably I bet in November, and then really Prema will probably find out in the next couple of months, I would say. Connor Daly, from what I know, real quick, we're going to get into the Indy 500 only seats. Connor Daly is probably going to be driving the number 23 Jai Reinbold car alongside Jack Harvey, which then means Ryan Hunter-Reay does not go there, which is crazy because he's 20 laps away from winning. From what I know, Daly to Reinbold and Ryan Hunter-Reay will drive the McLaren car this year at the Indy 500. We believe Marco Andretti is returning to Andretti for the Indy 500. So, yeah, that's crazy. Penske won't run an extra car. Andretti's going to run Marco. McLaren's going to run Ryan Hunter-Reay. We suspect we suspect Ray Hall will run Sato. Meyer Shank will run Castor Neves. Ed Carpenter will run, obviously, Ed Carpenter. Yeah, I mean, the Indy 500 field, we had 34 last year. Bumping, I think, all depends on Prema this year. If Prema comes back, you'll have 34 easy. I think 35 you could get. We could see a Ganassi car. I think we don't remember how close we were to 35 cars last year at the Indy 500. So I think we could easily get to 35. You could see Ganassi run an extra car. You could see Andretti run 5 cars. You could see Meyer Shank run 2 one-offs. I mean, the possibilities are endless. We're not going to get into it. I mean, the Indy 500 is like 8 months away. 8 months is such a long time. We'll know the entry list in like 7 months, probably like April 1st. Like the first week of April, we'll have an idea on the entry list. You know how, I'll be a completely different person on that time of April. Life will have happened, so we don't even need to talk about the Indy 500 entry list. But as of right now, I'm betting 35 cars. Who knows? It could be 32 when we get there. Please no. But with that being said, I hope I gave you a more clear idea on the IndyCar silly season. With that being said, see ya.